the Philippines and the U.S. enjoy close bilateral relations, and especially highlighted during the past, I'd say, 10 years, where there has been an intensification of high-level visits, and at the same time, a redrafting of for the priorities of both countries. Right now, the U.S. occupies the is the third largest trading partner of the Philippines, and by virtue of that, it's become important for our country. At the same time, during the past 5 to 6 years, we've intensified our defense and security cooperation to address the new threats to our security, which includes terrorism, climate change, and migration of people. And I think the interesting forward agreement that we have on securities, EDCA, it reaffirms our country's commitments to the new challenges that is evolving in our region. The visit of the president here, I think, is both a pleasant surprise and very much anticipated by the community when it was announced late last year. And I think this is a historic visit simply because there's not been an ASEAN summit with the U.S. here in the U.S. itself. A summit is important in the scheme of things because it's the highest leadership meeting and discussing issues of mutual concerns. And I think for the Philippines' part, we've identified key issues on economic growth, also on security, particularly those that involve the West Philippine Sea. And number three, the future of our people in terms of those that affect our people in terms of economic opportunities and technology. So for us, I think the visit of the president, his participation in the summit is very much anticipated by our people. So that's, I think, the primary or the core reason for the president visiting sunny lands. And then he will have programs here in Los Angeles or the environs of Los Angeles. The first one will be an address at the World Affairs Council, which is one of the highly recognized platform for world leaders to address think tanks and persons of influence here in Los Angeles. So we anticipate that the message of the president there would be not only absorbed by the attendees, but also rebroadcasted and shared with other influential people across the Los Angeles spectrum. Then the highlight for me, for the community, would be the meeting with the community by the president, which would happen on the 17th. Los Angeles area has around close to 400,000 Filipinos, and then Southern California close to 1 million. The last 2010 census, around 825 Filipinos called Southern California their home. And for me, I think the Filipinos are the biggest Asian community in California. So it's important for the president to meet our kababayans here. Nasasabi ko mga kababayan natin dahil ito na yung parabang huling dalaw ng presidente habang siya'y nanunungkulang Pangulo. At gusto rin nila pasalamatan, I think, ang Pangulo natin dahil tumaas ang imahe ng Pilipinas sa larangan ng good governance at saka economic progress sa ating rehiyon. So I think for the Filipinos, it's an opportunity to have that historic moment with the president before he steps down in the middle of the year. And then yung isa pang part ng program of the president here in Los Angeles would be the conferment of an honorific degree on the president by the leading Jesuit university, Loyola Marymount University. Alam naman natin na si Pangulong Aquino ay nag-aral sa isang Jesuit school na Ateneo sa Pilipinas. So ito ay parang pagkilala ng LMU na kinatawan ng presidente ang adhikain ng Jesuit education by giving him an honorific degree on humane letters. No? So for me, that's, I think, a key highlight for the president because his accomplishment is recognized by a ranking Jesuit university in California. Then I think the president will also meet with at least three groups of chief executives uh, by leading top 500, Fortune 500 companies based here in California. For me, this is a continuing commitment of the president in terms of even beyond his term, he wants to see the growth of business and investments in the Philippines. So for me, these are the key highlights of the president's visit to Sunnylands and LA. World Affairs Council is a non-profit organization. Its membership pretty much are CEOs of big businesses that are based in and around Los Angeles. So pretty much they invite influential people who visit LA to address their board and their membership. Imagine that the summit in Sunnylands will attract 10 leaders from ASEAN and the Secretary General of ASEAN, and only the President has been invited to address LAWAC. So for me, that's very key in terms of the choice of LAWAC, of who among the 10 attendees or leaders attending the summit would generate the greatest attention and pretty much a lasting effect within the LA area. So for me, that's the opportunity, and I think LAWAC also has hosted other world leaders, including President Clinton, in terms of being their guest. So it's a prestigious organization here in Los Angeles. LAWAC would be more of a platform for the president to share what happened in Sunnylands after the ASEAN. So he will be pretty much be the source of the news of what happened during the ASEAN-US summit. So he becomes the trusted messenger of the ASEAN-US summit in terms of articulating what issues were discussed among the leaders of ASEAN and the US president. And he will also be the trusted articulator of what's important for our region. One of the companies that will meet with the president is Walt Disney, a big entertainment-based company, and has presence both in the Philippines in terms of products sold and some of the backroom activities in the Philippines, ranging from animation to musical scoring. So I think the meeting with the president would pretty much expand the partnership between Walt Disney and Philippine companies in the creative industries. Then the other one would be Western Digital, growing to be one of the biggest manufacturers of hard disk and flash drives. So right now, I think the memory or storage systems of all mobile devices would pretty much come from Western Digital. So it's important for the Philippines to be part of the growth of this sector. So I think that would be key in terms of the dialogue the president would have with the executives of Western Digital. Then the third company would be AECOM, a company that does architectural and infrastructure projects. And I think the president, during his term or in his current term, has emphasized that infrastructure would be key in his pretty much legacy for the country. And I think to meet with one of the biggest architectural and building company would be another key meeting for the president in terms of generating potential agreements beyond his term. I think LMU has pretty much engaged a lot in the Philippines in terms of trying to expand their presence and their partnership. LMU is one of the biggest private universities in the LA area, and it's pretty much Jesuit, part of the Jesuit stable of schools across the US. And they're giving the president an honorary degree based on one, how the president has governed during the past 6 years and how he has imbibed the Jesuit manner of teaching and imparted it in his own way of life and in the way he has governed and has pretty much participated in government. So I think that one is the important part for the LMU. And then The other one, in terms of potential expansion, LMU right now participates in the Teach for the Philippines program, wherein they train potential teachers who volunteer for 2 years to teach across the Philippines. It's still in a modest size, but they're able to scale up the interest in terms of having more qualified either Filipino Americans or Americans who would want to volunteer uh, to be hired as teachers in the Philippines and elevate both the profession and the education of the Filipinos. Most of the Filipinos in the Los Angeles area would be in the healthcare sector. We have a lot of doctors, nurses, and therapists. We're also one of the leaders in terms of caregivers because there's a lot of facilities here that either treat either post-trauma or even post-operation. At the same time, the facilities for elderly. So the Filipinos would be one of the biggest population that services that sector. We're also big in the financial accounting sectors, those in the banks. And then aside from that, we have also a lot of entrepreneurs. I think there'll be 2 or 3 categories of entrepreneurs. One is a group of entrepreneurs that would pretty much try to chase after our expatriate community. Around LA, we have around 400,000. So you'll have entrepreneurs engaged in money remittances, balikbayan boxes, or travel agencies. So they pretty much address the needs of our community, as well as some of the grocery stores that sell Filipino products. And then around probably a significant number also of restaurant owners and operators. So you'll see some of the familiar names of restaurants also existing in the Los Angeles area. And then we also have entrepreneurs who are in the health sector. They own either clinics, hospitals, or those companies that services these sectors because they're either ex-doctors or used to work for hospitals. Then we have also entrepreneurs who have enlarged their presence here in the U.S. and have gone to either owning real estate, operating retail outlets. So they've joined the mainstream in terms of being entrepreneurs. We also have a significant sector of Filipinos in the service side, working either in restaurants, hotels, and some of the houses. So we have a pretty much diverse group of Filipinos. And outside LA, you will see some of the vineyards and some of the farms being operated by Filipinos. We also have a significant number of what we can categorize as farmer Filipinos around LA. Well, we try to be relevant to the lives of our Filipinos here in LA. We've tried to survey both their needs and how we can best address them. So our traditional function here in Los Angeles would be to deliver consular services. So this includes renewal of passports, registration of births, marriages, and deaths of Filipinos. And then also the new program during the past 10 years has been the application for dual citizens. That has been an expanding program because more Filipinos tend to understand now the benefits of dual citizenship. But aside from this core consular function, we try to be relevant with the other objectives of Filipinos. Number one, to increase awareness on the Philippines and our community and to generate respect for the Filipinos here in LA. So each time there's a successful Filipino, we join in the celebration of that Filipino beyond just the party. We try to make the rest of the LA society aware of a Filipino achiever, say in education, in health, or even in government service, so that we increase the awareness for Filipinos. Our policy is simply that if there's a better acceptance of the Filipinos, the opportunities for the next generation would be better. It will be better admission for schools, better employment opportunities, or better entrepreneurial opportunities. So we tend to widen our network in terms of trying to increase awareness of the successes of Filipinos, either at the workplace or in the industry And pretty much, I think that is uh, well received by many of our clients. And then number three, we tried to be a portal of for the second or the younger generation of Filipinos, those who were born here, to reconnect their heritage and their motherland because they search their identity in terms of who they are with respect to the myriad of other cultures existing here in Los Angeles. So they know they're Filipino of Filipino heritage, but they've not yet fully experienced from the heart what it is to be Filipino. So we want to help them in that process, not just to learn Tagalog, but to appreciate owning their heritage. Sa ating mga kababayan dito sa Los Angeles, sana makidalo kayo sa amin sa pagdiriwang ng pagdalaw ng ating Pangulo, mahal na Pangulo dito sa Los Angeles. Kung sasali kayo sa ibang mga programa, meron tayong programa para sa Pangulo sa gabi ng Pebrero 17. Sasalubungin natin ang Pangulo sa Hilton. At kung hindi man kayo makakadalo rito, sana subaybayan nyo sa media kung ano mangyayari doon sa mga meetings ng ating Pangulo. At sumama na rin kayo para ipamahagi ito sa either sa mga kaibigan nyo, kaopisina nyo, o mga kapamilya nyo para malaman ng lahat yung accomplishments ng ating Pangulo at ng ating pamahalaan habang naririto ang Pangulo sa Los Angeles. For our friends in the Philippines, I think the visit of the President is an important part of the term of President Aquino. It comes at a time when a lot of focus is happening towards Asia, not just for the economic development in the region, but also for the future of the security of our region. So I think the President's participation in the ASEAN US Summit may well be the most important meeting the President will have in this year. And I hope you join all of us in hoping for the success of the meetings and the President's engagements here in Los Angeles.